Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think this one is going to really challenge us and our listeners.
To rethink.
Yeah, to rethink how we approach self-improvement.
Absolutely.
So today we're diving into the fascinating idea that less is more.
That's right.
Specifically, how subtracting things from our lives can actually lead to big improvements.
And maybe even more improvement than adding things.
Exactly. Now, the source material that really sparked this deep dive is an article by Piotr Michoń, published just a few days ago on January 3rd, 2025.
Very recent.
Yeah, very, very recent. The title, even in the original Polish, is so intriguing. Zmiana, mniej,
Which means?
which translates to change to less.
I like that. Yeah.
Very catchy.
So think about it, okay?
Yeah.
When you want to improve something in your life, what's your first instinct? Like, what do you think?
Oh, to add something more, of course.
Yeah.
More exercise, more learning, more stuff, more.
More is better, right? You would think. But that's exactly the assumption this article challenges.
Yeah, and I think it's such a common assumption for all of us.
It really is. And what I find so compelling about this article is that it doesn't just present this as a nice idea.
Yeah.
It actually brings in some really interesting research to support it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's this one study that uses Legos, of all things.
Legos. Okay. I'm interested now.
Right. So in this experiment, people were given this wobbly Lego structure,
Okay.
and they were asked to stabilize it.
Okay. Makes
They had two options. They could add more bricks, but that would cost them money,
Uh-huh.
or they could remove bricks for free.
Okay. So one costs money, one is free.
Right. You'd think people would jump at the free option, right? It's the most efficient and it's free.
Obviously. Who doesn't love free?
Exactly. But here's the thing. That's not what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people were much more likely to add bricks,
Even though it costs them money.
even though it cost them money. It's like we're almost programmed to add even when subtracting is clearly the better choice.
It's like we just can't help ourselves.
It's really fascinating.
That's such a good illustration of, like, how our brains work, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, it just makes you wonder how often in life we overcomplicate things when a simpler solution might actually be right there in front of us.
Right. Instead of looking for what we can take away, we're always focused on what we can add.
Yeah, we're so focused on adding.
So the question then becomes, why? Why do we do this?
Yeah. Why do we default to adding?
Well, the article digs into that a bit and suggests a few possible reasons.
Hmm.
One is emotional attachment. It's hard to let go of things, even if they're not serving us anymore.
Oh, 100%. I know I do that all the time.
Right. We all have those clothes in the back of our closets that we're keeping just in case, even though we haven't worn them in years.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
hard to let go.
Or even like digital files.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I have so many files on my computer, like from years ago,
We're all digital hoarders to some extent.
that I'm like, I don't need these anymore, but
Yeah.
like, what if I need them someday? You know?
It's that what if.
And that's the thing that keeps us from, like, getting rid of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not just emotional attachment. There's also a societal element to this.
Yeah, I think so too.
We often view progress as accumulation. Bigger, more, newer. That's what we're told is success.
Okay, so it's like, it's not enough to have enough.
Right.
I have to have more and more and more.
It's this constant striving for more. More money, more possessions, more experiences.
Yeah, more everything.
Yeah. But, you know, the article suggests that maybe that's not the whole story.
Yeah, maybe it's not.
Maybe sometimes letting go, simplifying, can actually lead to a richer, more fulfilling life.
It's like quality over quantity, right?
Exactly. And that can be a really radical shift in thinking for a lot of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we've been conditioned to think the opposite.
We have.
More is always better.
But this article really challenges that assumption.
Yeah. So how does it do that?
Well, let's dive into that next.
Okay, let's do it.
It all starts with this idea that adding doesn't always equal improvement.
Okay, interesting.
And in fact, sometimes taking things away can be just as effective, if not more so.
So we're really flipping the script here.
We are.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's flip it.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive into less is more.
Yeah, it's a deep dive, all right.
It really is.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about,
Our brains and how...
how our brains seem to be wired for adding instead of subtracting when we're looking for improvement.
Right, and how that bias
Yeah.
really comes from our emotional attachments to stuff.
And societal pressures.
Yeah, all those external things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, the bicycle analogy that we were discussing,
Mm-hmm.
it really highlights how sometimes, you know, letting go,
Can be so powerful.
yeah, can actually unlock, like, true potential.
True potential, yeah.
Okay, so I think it would be super interesting to kind of look at how this less is more idea applies to other areas of our lives,
Okay, I like that.
beyond learning to ride a bike.
Yeah.
So one that comes to mind, especially in our world today, is communication.
Interesting, yeah.
Like, think about it. How often do we sit through presentations or read emails that are just jam-packed with information?
Oh, all the time. Way too much information.
Right. It's like an overload almost.
Information overload, for sure.
And it's often ineffective because it's just too much.
It's overwhelming.
Exactly. And Michoń really argues in the article that instead of adding more and more content,
Yeah.
we should be focusing on kind of like refining.
Refining and streamlining.
Yes, exactly. Streamlining what we already have.
Less is more, even in communication.
Yeah. It's not about the quantity, it's about like the clarity and the impact of what you're saying.
And respecting people's time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When you give them less information, you're actually giving them more time.
Which is a gift in itself.
It is.
It really is. Okay, because I know for me, when I get like a marketing email,
Yeah.
and it's just this like wall of
And
text
just close it.
and like different fonts
That's too much.
and like flashing GIFs and it's just too much.
Sensory overload.
I just close it,
Yep, I do the same thing.
It's like I would have been way more receptive.
If it were just simple.
Yes. If it were just like short and to the point.
Yeah, less is definitely more in those cases.
Absolutely. Okay, and it's not just about emails,
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, it's meetings, it's reports, it's even like everyday conversations.
Even just how we talk to each other.
Yeah. Like before you add another sentence
That's yourself.
or a bullet point to that email, just ask yourself, does this really add value or is this just clutter?
It's a good test, isn't it?
Yeah.
To make sure you're not just adding noise.
I think so.
But this idea of streamlining, I think, applies to more than just our words.
Okay, how so?
It can also apply to our decision-making process.
Oh, interesting.
Think about all the choices we have to make every single day.
Oh, so many.
Right. It can be really overwhelming.
It is. I feel overwhelmed just thinking about it.
And what Michoń suggests is that instead of trying to add more information
Okay.
to our decision-making...
So not like more research.
Yeah, not more research, not more opinions.
Not more opinions.
We should try simplifying our options instead.
Oh, interesting. So like almost giving yourself fewer choices.
Yeah. It sounds counterintuitive.
It does.
But by narrowing our options,
Okay.
we actually free up mental space and can make decisions more confidently.
Okay, I like that.
It's about identifying our priorities and eliminating distractions.
That's really cool.
And it goes back to that idea of creating space
Yeah.
for what really matters.
Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to like see how this all connects to the bigger picture.
Me too.
Yeah, it's like it's not just about getting rid of stuff in our homes. It's also about like streamlining our communication.
And simplifying our decisions.
Yeah. And even creating white space in our lives, like we talked about.
White space is so important. It's like creating that breathing room
Yes.
to think more clearly.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think there's one more aspect of this creating space thing that's really important.
What's that?
The concept of white space.
Okay, white space.
Not just on a page,
Oh, okay.
but in life.
So we're talking like literal blank space.
Well, yeah, it's about having physical space, but it's more than that.
Okay.
It's about intentionally creating mental and physical breathing room.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Like in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation.
All the time.
Yeah, white space is a really powerful antidote to that overwhelm.
I love that. Especially with how connected we are.
Yeah.
Like 24/7.
I know, I feel the pressure to always be on.
Yeah, me too.
But think about how much calmer and more focused you feel when you have time to disconnect, to just be.
Yeah.
That's the power of white space.
I like hit the reset button.
It is.
So, I mean, we've covered a lot here. Like
A lot of ground.
our stuff, our words, our decisions,
Our time.
our time even. Yeah. It's like we're on this.
Decluttering journey.
Yes. It's not just our physical spaces. It's our minds and lives.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
I really think so.
And this journey of subtraction, I think, it can lead to some unexpected places.
Like where?
I'm curious.
Well, that's what we'll explore in the next
Oh,
one.
good. Keep me in suspense.
How less is more
Mm-hmm.
can actually unlock creativity
Okay, I'm ready for that.
and lead to some really profound personal growth.
Amazing.
It might just challenge everything you thought you knew
Okay.
about innovation and progress.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We are in the final stretch of this exploration of less is more.
It's amazing how much we've unpacked from
Yeah.
this seemingly simple idea.
Right, like we've gone from decluttering our homes to like refining how we communicate. Yeah, even to creating white space.
Exactly. And it's been really eye-opening for me.
It has been for me too. And I think this final part, it kind of brings us to some really profound implications of less is more.
Okay.
We were just talking about the power of white space, right? That idea of creating breathing room.
Yeah, just having some space to think.
Especially in today's world,
Oh my gosh, yes.
where we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation.
I feel that all the time. Like I'm always connected.
It's hard to escape, isn't it?
Yeah.
The article touches on this a bit, especially our relationship with technology. Like, we're constantly plugged in, we've got notifications, updates, emails.
It never ends.
Right, it's so easy to just feel overwhelmed and never truly off.
I'm so guilty of this. Like, just mindlessly scrolling,
Oh, yeah.
checking email over and over again, even when I know there's nothing new.
It's almost like a reflex.
It is. It really is.
So what if, like, we intentionally subtracted some of this digital clutter? What if we were more mindful about the apps we use, the notifications, the time we spend online?
It's like we're applying less is more to our digital lives, too.
Exactly. It's about creating that white space, but in the digital realm.
Oh, I like that. Digital white space.
Think about all the mental space we could reclaim
Yeah.
if we weren't constantly reacting to every ping and notification.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And this idea of subtraction actually leads to another fascinating concept.
Okay, what is it?
The connection between less is more and creativity.
Wait, how can removing things make us more creative?
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
It totally does.
But think about it. When we're constantly bombarded with stimuli, our minds get cluttered.
Okay, yeah.
It's hard to think outside the box when you're overwhelmed with input.
It's like you can't hear yourself think.
Exactly. But when we simplify, when we eliminate the unnecessary, we create space for new ideas to emerge.
So it's like constraints can actually boost creativity.
It's possible. You know, that reminds me of this music group I read about.
Okay.
They challenged themselves to make an entire album using only found sounds.
Found sounds.
Yeah, no traditional instruments, just everyday objects. Pots, pans, car horns, rain.
Wow.
By limiting their options, by subtracting the familiar, they had to get creative.
I bet that album is super unique.
I'm sure it is.
So sometimes those limitations, that subtraction, it can push us in exciting new directions.
It can force us to think differently.
I love that. And it's not just about art, right? It's about our thinking process in general.
Exactly. Problem solving, decision making, personal growth.
So we've gone from like decluttering our homes and schedules.
To decluttering our technology.
Yeah, to even decluttering our creativity.
It really shows how broad this idea is.
And the power of being intentional,
Absolutely. Choosing to subtract, to simplify, can transform so many areas of our lives.
It really can.
And that brings us to maybe the most profound takeaway from this whole deep dive.
Okay, lay it on me.
The idea that less is more can apply to our internal world too.
Our internal world. What do you mean?
Our thoughts, beliefs, and habits.
Oh, wow.
It's not just about our external stuff, but also about what we hold on to internally.
Like our mental clutter.
Exactly. What if we challenged our limiting beliefs, let go of negative thought patterns, replaced unhealthy habits?
It's like creating that mental white space for growth.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with.
It really is.
This deep dive wasn't about just getting rid of stuff.
It was about creating a life that feels better.
More spacious, more intentional, and truly aligned with what matters.
Beautifully said.
I hope our listeners feel inspired.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we hope it's given you some new ideas for embracing the power of less is more in your own life. Until next time.